Long ago, on a far planet called Dravara, dragons ruled the sky. They were not wild beasts. These dragons were smart, kind, and powerful. They could speak. They could use fire, not just to burn, but to heal and protect. The people of Dravara called them the royal dragons. Together, dragons and people lived in peace for many years. The royal dragons were protectors. They kept away space pirates, fed the forests with their breath, and taught wisdom to the kings. Some dragons lived for hundreds of years. They remembered everything. They never forgot a promise or a betrayal. But peace does not last forever. Some humans became jealous. They wanted the power of dragons. They were tired of bowing to creatures with wings. So one day, a group of leaders made a secret plan. They invited the royal dragons to a grand feast in the Sky Temple, high above the mountains. It was a celebration, they said. A thank you for many years of peace. But the food and drink were poisoned. The dragons ate. They laughed. They danced with fire in the sky. Then, one by one, they fell. Not all died at once, okay? Some grew weak, some lost their fire. Some could no longer fly. Over the next few months, the dragons faded. Some tried to fight back, but it was too late. The poison had done its work. The last roar of the royal dragons echoed through the mountains. And then, silence. Years passed. Without dragons, the planet changed. The balance was broken. The weather turned wild. Storms came often. The crops failed. Animals vanished. The forests died. The kings who had betrayed the dragons now ruled over ruins. Still, they never spoke of the dragons. They called it old history. They said dragons were dangerous. But some people remembered. In whispers, they told stories about the old days. They also spoke of a forbidden valley, a place deep in the north where the last dragon eggs were hidden. No one dared go there. They said the valley was cursed. Even the winds screamed their dot, the world forgot. But the dragons did not. One day, a strange ship came down from the clouds. It landed near the edge of the forbidden valley. From it stepped a man, not a local. He was human, but not from Dravara. He wore a long, dark coat. His face was rough. His eyes were sharp, like he had seen many wars. On his belt, he carried tools, not weapons. People called him the Fixer. No one knew his real name. He had traveled many worlds, solving impossible problems. He arrived without warning, without asking for help. He only said one thing: "Where are the dragon eggs?" The villagers looked at him with fear. An old woman warned, "You don't go near the valley. The ground is dead. The air burns your skin. Nothing lives there." But the Fixer didn't listen. "Sometimes," he said, "the most broken things are the ones worth saving." He bought supplies. A scanner, a power core, a box with blinking lights. He walked alone toward the forbidden valley. The land near the valley was cold. The sky was gray. The wind made no sound. Even animals avoided the place. The Fixer followed a path of broken stones. He saw ruins, old temples, and statues of dragons, heads broken, wings cut off. He stopped in front of a large stone gate. It had one word carved deep: "Never forget." Inside the ruins, he found bones. Giant bones, dragon bones. Some were curled in sleep. Some were lying beside human skeletons, as if they died protecting someone. He touched one skull gently. "I'm sorry," he said. "They didn't deserve you." Then his scanner beeped. Something was alive nearby. He moved deeper underground, following the beeping sound. He found a hidden door. It opened with a slow groan. Inside was a dark chamber, glowing faintly. At the center were 3 large dragon eggs, covered in dust and time, but still warm. Still alive, the Fixer knelt beside them. "You've waited a long time," he whispered. "I'm here to wake you up." He opened his box. Wires, lights, energy tubes. He placed a small fire crystal in the middle. A hum filled the room. The eggs began to glow brighter. The ground shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. "Come back," he said. The galaxy still needs dragons. But far above, someone else was watching. A tall figure in black armor stood on a cliff near the ruins. He held a scanner, too. His voice was cold as he spoke into a radio. "The Fixer found the eggs. He's trying to wake them. Send the hunter ships." Far away, in the sky, red lights moved. The Fixer had no idea. He had just made the biggest choice of his life, and others were ready to stop him. The chamber under the ruins glowed with soft red light. The Fixer worked fast. His hands moved with care. Wires, tubes, and crystals connected to the dragon eggs. He checked his scanner. All 3 eggs still had a life signal. Weak, but real. "I was right," he whispered. "They're still alive." One egg gave a soft pulse of light. The sound it made was like a deep heartbeat. The Fixer smiled just a little. He reached into his bag and pulled out a small blue orb. Inside, it was a flickering flame. "This is fire seed," he said quietly. "Old dragon energy. I took it from a dead star. It should be enough." He placed the orb between the eggs. The eggs started to glow brighter. Suddenly, a sharp noise. The Fixer froze. He wasn't alone anymore. Outside the temple, the wind changed. A black ship came through the clouds. It made no sound, but its shape was sharp like a blade. It hovered above the valley and then slowly landed on a nearby ridge. 3 figures stepped out. They wore black armor with red symbols on their shoulders. One of them, the leader, had glowing yellow eyes. He looked at the valley with disgust. "Dragons," he said. "The last disease of this planet, we end it tonight." Back underground, the Fixer kept working. He didn't know the hunters were already coming. He checked the energy flow. Everything was stable. The eggs glowed like red suns. Warm air filled the chamber. Ancient carvings on the walls began to shine. Suddenly, the first egg moved. A soft crack appeared on its side. The Fixer stepped back, eyes wide. "It's working," he said. Another crack, a low sound, like a deep breath, came from inside the egg. Then a flash of light burst from the center of the chamber. For a moment, the room was filled with heat, light, and a voice. A deep voice, not human. "Who calls us?" The Fixer looked around. The voice came from the eggs, or maybe from the walls themselves. He spoke clearly. "I am the Fixer. I came to wake you." There was silence. Then the voice returned, softer this time. "The world forgot us. Why did you remember?" The Fixer looked down. "Because they lied about you. They said you were monsters, but I saw the truth. The real story, the betrayal, the poison, the pain." Another crack appeared. The second egg shook slightly. The voice whispered, "Then you are not like the others." The Fixer took a deep breath. "No, I'm not." Outside the temple, the hunters reached the ruins. They moved quietly, using shadows and stealth tech. The leader looked at his scanner. 3 eggs, 1 human. Easy. The second hunter asked, "Should we destroy the eggs now?" The leader shook his head. "No. Bring the human. We make him watch." Back in the chamber, the first egg opened slightly. A small head appeared, covered in red gold scales. Eyes like molten fire looked up at the Fixer. The baby dragon took its first breath. Fire filled the air, not to burn, but to heal. The ruined walls grew cleaner. The carvings became clearer. The chamber felt alive again. The Fixer knelt. "Welcome back." The dragon blinked. It was weak, but it was alive. He reached toward the second egg, but before he could touch it, boom. A flash grenade exploded near the doorway. The fixer was thrown back. 3 black-armored hunters entered, weapons raised. The baby dragon hissed and tried to stand, but it was too weak. The leader stepped forward. "So, you did it. You brought them back. Very foolish." The fixer wiped blood from his lip. "You're too late. They're already waking." The leader aimed his weapon at the baby dragon. "Then we kill them now." The fixer moved fast. He threw a small cube that exploded with smoke. The chamber filled with dust and sparks. Red lights flashed. He grabbed the baby dragon and ran behind a broken pillar. Shots fired. The walls cracked. One of the eggs shook violently. The fixer shouted, "You want a war again? Fine. But this time, they won't be alone." The baby dragon growled. Its throat glowed with fire. It was learning fast. The second egg cracked open fully. A tail shot out. The leader of the hunters growled, "Kill them all." But the chamber shook again, harder than before. The third egg cracked. Sound like thunder echoed through the valley. Outside, the ground split open. The mountain roared. Fire erupted from cracks in the stone. The dragons were waking. The old dragon chamber was alive again. The walls glowed with ancient light. The air was hot. The ground shook. The eggs, once cold and forgotten, now pulsed with fire and energy. The fixer stood between them, watching in awe. The first dragon egg cracked open fully. A small head appeared, glowing red and gold. The baby dragon blinked slowly. Its eyes were like firestones. It was weak, but alive. The fixer stepped closer and smiled. "You're awake." The baby dragon let out a soft growl, not of anger, but of confusion. It took its first breath, and with it came a small puff of smoke. The air warmed. The fixer opened his bag and pulled out a cloth. "Here," he said, "you'll be all right. I promise." But he didn't have time to relax. A loud blast echoed from above. Boom. The chamber shook again. Dust fell from the ceiling. Cracks spread along the stone walls. Then came the footsteps. Heavy, fast, angry. The black-armored hunters had entered the ruins. There were 3 of them. Tall, masked, and armed with advanced weapons. One of them, the leader, pointed his scanner toward the eggs. "All 3 still alive," he said. "We kill them now." The fixer stepped in front of the baby dragon. "You're not touching them," he said. The hunter laughed. "You think you can stop us? You're just a man." The fixer's hand moved quickly. He threw a small device to the ground. It exploded. With a bright flash and smoke, the hunter stepped back, momentarily blind. The fixer grabbed the baby dragon and dove behind a pillar. But it wasn't just one egg anymore. The second egg cracked open with a loud snap. A second dragon, silver and gold, stepped out. This one was larger. It looked around, confused but alert. When it saw the fixer, it didn't growl. It stood beside him, guarding him. The hunters began firing blindly into the smoke. Energy blasts hit the walls, burning the stone. One blast hit part of the ceiling. A huge chunk collapsed and blocked the doorway. The third hunter shouted, "We're trapped." "Not for long," said the leader. "Kill the man. Kill the dragons." The second dragon let out a loud roar, louder than the first. Fire burst from its mouth, forcing the hunters back. But then, something stronger happened. The third egg shook violently. A strange wind filled the chamber. Sparks flew from the cracks in the floor. The fixer looked at it. "It's happening," he whispered. The egg burst open. The third dragon stepped out. Its scales were deep blue with glowing patterns. Its eyes were bright like stars. When it stepped forward, the air moved around it like a storm. The fixer gasped. A skybender. He had only read about them. Dragons that could control wind, pressure, even lightning. A rare bloodline. The dragon raised its wings, too young to fly, but already powerful. With one breath, it sent out a wave of wind that knocked the hunters off their feet. Their weapons flew from their hands. One of them hit the wall and didn't get up. The other two tried to run, but the exit was blocked. The fixer walked forward with the dragons beside him. "You should leave," he said. The hunter leader stared. "You don't know what you've done. If they live, the galaxy will change." "Good," said the fixer. "It needs to." The leader threw down a smoke capsule and vanished. A second later, a black escape drone burst through the ceiling. Grabbing him, they flew out through the smoke. Silence returned to the chamber. The dragons stood around the fixer. They were tired but alive. Their breaths glowed. The air was warm. The room felt safe. The fixer sat down on a rock. He wiped sweat from his forehead. "You three are special," he said, "and they will come for you again." He looked at the blue one. "You already show power no one's seen in centuries." Then he looked at the red and gold. "You're brave." And the silver one. "You're a protector." The dragons watched him closely. "You're not ready to fight yet," he said, "but I can help you get there. If we want to survive, we need to move fast." That night, under the stars, the fixer led the dragons out of the ruins. They moved through old tunnels beneath the mountain, far from the hunters' ships. They reached a quiet cave near the coast. The air was clean. The stars above were bright. He started a small fire. The dragons curled beside it, warm and tired, for the first time in hundreds of years. 3 dragons slept together on Dravara. The fixer stayed awake. He looked at the sky. Somewhere up there, enemy ships were planning their return. He touched his wristband and opened a hidden signal line. "This is the fixer. The dragons are alive. I need help. And fast." The cave was quiet. The fire burned low. The 3 baby dragons lay close to each other, sleeping peacefully for the first time since they were born. Their scales shimmered in the firelight, red gold, silver, and deep blue. The fixer didn't sleep. He sat at the edge of the cave, watching the stars. His hand held a small communicator, blinking red. "Come on," he whispered. "Someone answer." Static buzzed. Then a voice. "This is Commander Reyna, Outer Rim Watch. Who is this?" The fixer sat up straight. "Fixer 9, code 778 Kilo. I have dragons. Real ones. Alive? I need pickup and cover. Hostile forces are coming." There was silence. Then laughter. "Dragons. Like the old Dravaran stories." "No stories," the fixer said. 3 hatched. Breathing hunters tried to kill them already. Now the voice changed. Location. The fixer gave coordinates. Coastal zone, western edge of the Forbidden Valley. Copy. Fleet patrol is 9 hours out. Stay hidden. If what you're saying is true, we'll come. The signal cut. The fixer sighed. 9 hours. At sunrise, the dragons woke. They stretched and yawned, just like young children. The red gold one nudged the fixer gently. Looked hungry. He smiled. "All right, let's find food." He gathered local fruits and small root bulbs from near the cave. The silver dragon sniffed the food, licked it once, then turned away. "You want meat, don't you?" he muttered. He set traps for small animals and made a stew in a metal bowl. The smell made the blue dragon's nose flare. The dragons ate slowly, but eagerly. Their energy was returning. After eating, the fixer began basic training. He drew symbols in the dirt and pointed to them. Fire, wind, shield. The dragons watched closely. The silver one copied the movement, tapping the ground. With its claw, you're fast, he said with a smile. He tested their breathing strength, wing control, balance, and awareness. He didn't want them to fight yet, but they needed to start learning. Suddenly, the red gold dragon stopped moving. Its ears twitched. It turned its head sharply toward the sky. The fixer followed its gaze. A black dot was moving fast, high. In the clouds, a drone dot far above, inside the Hunter Fleet command ship. The general watched a live feed from the drone. He narrowed his eyes. They're growing quickly, he said. And the human is teaching them. The hunter leader stood beside him. Give me one more strike team. No, the general replied. We use full force now. Call the purge ships. Erase the valley. Burn the coast. Kill the dragons. Kill the man. The hunter smiled, gladly. Back in the cave, the fixer packed quickly. They found us, he told the dragons. We have to move. He activated a hidden supply cache under a rock slab. Inside was a light hover sled, armor plates, and a stealth shield. He placed a tracker. On each dragon, stay close, he said. If you get lost, this will guide you back. They began moving along a cliff path away from the coast. The wind blew strong, but the dragons handled it well. The blue one leaped from rock to rock with ease. The red gold one stayed closest to the fixer. The silver one watched the skies, alert and quiet. They reached a ruined outpost from the old days. The walls were broken, but part of the roof was still solid. Inside, they found a surprise. A figure was already there, cloaked, tall, standing beside an old beacon. The fixer raised his tool. Who are you? The figure pulled down the hood. It was a Dravaran woman with long silver hair and glowing tattoos on her hands. Her eyes shined. With faint blue light, I am Lissa, daughter of the last dragon speaker, she said. The fixer blinked. I thought your kind were gone. So did the galaxy, she said, stepping forward. But we waited for a sign. And you brought it. She knelt before the dragons. The red gold one sniffed her hand, then licked it gently. They remember. Us, Lissa whispered. Even after all this time. The fixer lowered his tool. We don't have much time. Warships are coming. I know, she said, but we have a place, a temple, hidden high in the Windspeck Mountains, protected by old magic. The dragons must go there. The fixer nodded. Then we leave now. Far above, in the orbit sky, 3 massive ships dropped from hyperspace. They were long, black, and shaped like blades. Fire burst from their engines. The lead ship opened its bay doors. Hundreds of hunter drones flew down toward the planet in the ruins. Lissa touched her. Staff to the ground. A glowing path appeared, leading into the hills. Follow me, she said. The fixer turned to the dragons. Stay close. This is the only way we live. The dragons followed. Behind them, the sky began to turn red with fire. The hunt had begun. The path to the Windspeck Mountains was long and dangerous. Cold winds howled through the rocks. Sharp cliffs surrounded the narrow trail. The fixer walked carefully, his eyes always scanning the sky. Beside him, the 3 young dragons moved. Slowly, their wings folded close, their claws gripping the stone path. Behind them walked Lissa, the dragon speaker's daughter. Her long silver cloak flowed in the wind. In her hand, she held a glowing staff that lit the way. We must hurry, she said. The hunters are not far. Far below, in the forests near the coast, black ships landed. Hundreds of hunter drones, spread out like insects, searching the land, scanning for heat signs and life. One of them found the ruined cave where the dragons had slept. The hunter leader entered and looked around. They were here, he said. Fresh signs. But they're moving inland. The general's voice crackled over his comm. No mercy. No delay. Burn the forest if you must. Up in the high cliffs, the fixer and his group reached a narrow ledge that looked over a deep valley. The red gold dragon growled. The fixer followed its gaze. In the far distance, smoke was rising. The forest below was on fire. "They're burning the land just to find us," he said. Lissa nodded. "That's why the dragons must reach the temple. Only there are they safe." The trail led to a narrow bridge made of ancient stone. It hung between two cliffs, swinging in the wind. The fixer looked at it, then at the dragons. "We go one at a time." He crossed first, holding the rope rail. The wood creaked beneath his boots. The wind pushed hard, but he kept moving. One by one, the dragons followed. The blue dragon nearly slipped, but caught itself with a flap of its wings. The silver one crossed fast. The red gold one paused halfway, looking down. "Don't look down," the fixer said softly. "You're stronger than you think." The dragon let out a small whine but stepped forward and crossed safely. Lissa came last. Steady as stone, on the other side of the bridge stood a large stone gate. It was covered in carvings and glowing symbols. Lissa raised her staff. "This is the trial gate," she said. "No dragon may enter the temple unless they pass." The fixer frowned. "Pass what?" "Each dragon must face a trial of spirit. No one can help them. It is part of their bond with the old power." The dragons looked confused. Lissa stepped forward and placed her hand on the gate. It opened slowly, revealing a cave filled with blue mist. "Only the dragons may enter. You and I must wait." The fixer knelt beside the dragons. "Go, I believe. In you." The dragons entered the cave, one by one. As soon as they passed through the gate, the mist closed behind them. Silence inside the cave. The dragons were separated by walls of light. Each one faced a different path. Red Gold Dragon. It saw a vision of fire, a memory from the ancient past. Dragons dying, poisoned by humans. The Red Gold Dragon felt fear, rage, confusion then. A voice asked, "Will you choose revenge or protection?" The dragon closed its eyes and let out a deep breath. It chose protection. The flames faded. The path opened, Silver Dragon. It faced a dark mirror, showing itself failing, falling, lost in battle. The image laughed, mocking its weakness. "You are not strong enough," the mirror said. The Silver Dragon roared and charged. The mirror shattered. Behind it, light poured in. The path was clear. Blue Skybender Dragon. It stood on a high peak. Inside the dream, storms raged. Wind howled. It was alone. "You must command the sky," the wind whispered, "or it will destroy you." The dragon spread its wings and leaped into the wind. It wobbled, shook, but then it flew. Lightning danced around it. The storm bent to its will. The trial was passed. Outside the cave, the fixer waited nervously. Time passed slowly. Then the gate opened. All three dragons stepped out, stronger than before. Their eyes glowed. Their steps were sure. Their wings stretched wide. Energy flowed through their scales. "They passed," Lissa said with pride. "They are ready." Suddenly, a sharp alarm beeped from the fixer's wristband. Drones were near, too near. He looked to the sky and saw dark dots flying toward them. "Hunters," he said. "We've got incoming." Lissa raised her staff. "Follow me. The temple is just ahead, hidden behind the wind wall." They ran. The dragons flew low, still learning but faster now. They reached the temple, an old building carved into the mountain, hidden behind a wall of spinning wind and fog. Lyssa raised her staff again. The wall parted. They passed through just as the first hunter drones arrived. The wall closed behind them. safe for now, inside the temple. The old dragon statues watched from the shadows. A large crystal sat at the center, pulsing slowly. This, Lissa said, is the Heartstone, the true source of dragon life. The dragons approached it slowly, feeling its call. The fixer looked around. "We don't have much time," he said. "They'll find a way in." Lissa nodded. "Then we prepare for the final fight." Inside the ancient mountain temple, the air was heavy with power. The walls were made of white stone, carved with dragon symbols and old runes. Fire bowls lit up by themselves as the group entered. At the center of the temple stood the Heartstone, a giant crystal pulsing with red and blue light. It looked alive. The three young dragons stepped toward it, slow and careful, their eyes wide with awe. The fixer stayed back, his hand resting on a pillar. He watched them, proud and silent. Lissa, daughter of the last dragon speaker, stood beside him. Her voice was soft. "They feel the call. The Heartstone remembers their kind." The fixer nodded. "What happens now?" "They must bond with it," she said. "Each dragon must give a piece of its soul. In return, they will receive the gift of full strength, fire, flight, and mind. Will it hurt them?" Lissa looked at the dragons. "Only for a moment. But once bonded, they will no longer be children. They will be part of the world again." The red gold dragon was the first to step forward. It touched the Heartstone. With its nose, a wave of heat burst through the temple. The dragon let out a loud roar, not of pain, but power. Its body glowed brighter. Its wings grew longer. Fire danced across its back. When the light faded, it stood taller. Stronger next came the silver one. It placed its claw on the stone. Lightning sparked from the ground. The wind howled. The dragon's eyes turned bright. White for a second, then dimmed. When it stepped back, its scales shimmered like metal. The blue skybender went last. As it touched the Heartstone, the air grew still. Then the entire temple shook. The dragon rose into the air, glowing with a soft blue light. Symbols from the old days appeared in the air around it. When it landed, its wings spread wide and steady. They were no longer just young dragons. They were the last of the royal line. Suddenly, the ground trembled. A warning rang from the fixers. "Wristband. They're coming," he said. "All of them." Lissa raised her staff. "Then the time has come." Outside, the sky turned black with hunter drones dot above the clouds. The enemy fleet hovered. 3 massive purge ships pointed their weapons toward the mountain. The hunter leader stood on the lead. "Ship's bridge. The temple is below," he said. "Burn it. No survivors." The general replied, "Launch fire pods. End this now." Back. Inside the temple, the fixer activated the defense systems. Old turrets rose from the floor. Energy shields snapped into place. Lissa took her position near the Heartstone. She began to chant in the old language. Her voice echoed through the walls. The 3 dragons stood at the center, now fully alert. Then, a distant sound, whistling, screaming. Falling, the fire pods dropped from the sky. The mountain shook as explosions hit the cliffs outside. Rock fell from the ceiling. Dust filled the air. But the temple held strong for now. The fixer grabbed his tool belt. "I'll hold the front." Lissa looked at him. "You are not bonded. You will die first." He smiled. "Not if I'm lucky." He ran to the outer gate and stood ready. Drones came first, hundreds of them. They flew fast, firing energy blasts at the temple walls. The fixer activated a turret. The sky lit up with fire. Drones exploded like sparks. Then came the hunters, 10 of them, armored and trained. Their boots hit the ground hard. They moved like shadows. The fixer fought with everything he had. Tools, traps, and sheer will. He hit one with a shock rod, another with a fire pulse. But there were too many. Just when it seemed they'd reach him, the red gold dragon burst. Through the wall, roaring with fury, it breathed fire in a wide wave, burning 3 hunters at once. The silver dragon followed, its body spinning through the air. It slammed into 2 more. The blue dragon rose above the battlefield, calling the wind. A storm began to form around the mountain. Lightning flashed. Thunder shook the air. The fixer ducked as wind and fire tore through the enemy lines. He looked up and smiled. "They're ready," he whispered. But above, the general gave a cold order. "Prepare the sun cannon." A giant weapon opened on the largest ship. It charged with orange light. If it fired, the whole mountain would turn to ash. The hunter leader grinned. "Say goodbye to the dragons." Inside the temple, the heartstone glowed brighter. Lissa shouted, "The stone is calling for one more bond." The fixer turned. "One more? Who?" The heartstone pulsed again. The red gold dragon looked at him. So did the others. The fixer stepped forward. "I'm not a dragon," he said. But the heartstone didn't care. He reached out his hand. The moment he touched it, a flash of light exploded in the temple. His body lifted from the ground. Fire, wind, and light surrounded him. The dragons roared in unison. He had become something new, human, but more. A bonded soul, a dragonkin. The sky was no longer dark. It was burning. The largest enemy ship hovered high above the mountains. Sun cannon was now fully charged. Orange light circled its massive core, spinning faster every second. The general stood on the bridge, staring at the temple far below. "One shot," he said coldly. "Then nothing will remain." Beside him, the hunter leader smiled. "Let them see their end coming." But down below, inside the mountain temple, something impossible had just happened. The fixer was glowing. The moment he touched the heartstone, it pulled him into a storm of light. Fire, wind, and ancient power surrounded him. His body lifted into the air, floating between the dragons. His skin glowed with gold and silver light. Ancient runes appeared on his arms and face. His eyes turned a deep dragon blue. The heartstone spoke not in words, but in feeling. "You carry pain, memory, purpose. You are chosen." When the light faded, the fixer dropped to the ground, but he didn't fall. He landed on his feet, like a creature of the sky. He was still human, but also something more. He was now the first dragonkin in 1,000 years, part human, part dragon soul. The 3 dragons surrounded him. Their eyes glowed, and their bodies pulsed with power. Something had changed in their bond. They were no longer student and teacher. They were now one team, one family. Lissa stepped forward, her voice trembling. "It has happened. The prophecy is real." The fixer nodded slowly. "Then we finish this." Outside, the temple shook. The enemy drones had returned in waves. Black armored hunters were blasting the ancient stone walls. The outer defense was almost gone, and above them, death waited in the sky. The fixer turned to the dragons. "We fly now." He climbed onto the red gold dragon's back. The silver dragon spread its wings. The blue skybender looked to the clouds and roared. The ancient power flowed through all of them with one leap. They soared into the air, fast, strong. And blazing with light, they broke through the clouds and flew straight toward the enemy. Fleet, the soldiers on the ship saw them coming. "What is that?" one shouted. "Fire incoming," yelled another. The red gold dragon opened its mouth. A massive wave of flame shot through the air, melting the first drone squadron in seconds. The silver dragon moved with speed and force, tearing through fighters. Like lightning, then the blue dragon rose high into the sky, opened its wings wide, and summoned a sky storm. Wind and thunder crashed against the fleet. The fixer stood tall on the dragon's back. His eyes glowed. His hands sparked with raw power. He raised both arms and shouted one word, "Now." All three dragons unleashed their strongest breath. Flame, wind, and energy blasted through the air like a comet. The fleet shook. The hunters screamed. The perched ship's sun cannon fired a giant beam of orange light screamed toward the mountain. But the fixer was ready. He jumped from the dragon's back, straight into the path of the beam. Everyone, human and dragon, watched in shock. The fixer met the beam with both hands out. The moment it touched him, the power of the heartstone inside him activated fully. The light of the sun cannon bent and slowed. The fixer screamed in pain, but he held it. Behind him, the dragons combined their power. A final surge of fire, wind, and heartlight pushed into the beam, and then, boom, the sun cannon exploded from inside. The flagship was torn apart. Flames covered the sky. Drones fell like rain. Silence followed. Later, as the dust settled, the fixer floated slowly back to the ground. Smoke rose from his body, but he was alive. The three dragons landed beside him. Lissa and the mountain defenders came running. The heartstone pulsed softly behind them, peaceful now. The hunter fleet was gone. Destroyed, Dravara was safe. For the first time in centuries, the sky above the mountains was clear. The fixer looked at the dragons. "You're free now," he said. "You've saved your world." The red gold dragon licked his face. The silver one curled beside him. The blue skybender looked to the clouds and took flight again, this time not to escape but to celebrate. Epilogue optional. Weeks later, the world began to change. The people of Dravara came out of hiding. They saw dragons again, not as beasts, but as guardians. The fixer stayed on the planet, now called the Dragonkin, the one who brought back the royal bloodline. Lissa rebuilt the dragon temple, and the dragons grew wiser, stronger, and in the stars, whispers began to spread. Humans had done many things across the galaxy, but only one had ever brought dragons back from extinction. Only one had become their family. Only one had fixed what no one else could. The fixer